Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Fan Effect podcast. As always, I am your better half of the host, the Bushido Geek, your guide to anything you might want to know, joined, unfortunately, yet again, by Devin. And that's all. That's all. I don't even want you to talk. Anyways, what's up, Sweet Poison? We're joined by a special guest.
No.
What's up, guys?
Hey, you have to do it right, Mark. If you're going to do it, you have to have that full announcer, Michael. Sweet Poison Burrito.
And then, of course, you guys.
Yeah.
Wolfpack
Sweet to you guys.
for life.
If you're listening, you have no idea what we just did, but that's for us, not for you. Yeah, it's an us thing. Anyway, so we, as you guys know, of course, we always talk about random different things, but we're going back to the well a little bit here because a lot has happened recently, and we definitely needed to talk about it. We're going to be talking WWE releases this episode, and kind of where, like, the ones that we kind of can agree with, the ones that absolutely make no sense, who they ruined, who they gave a shot to, like all that kind of stuff. And then we'll kind of go into where we, maybe see some of them going. We'll go into why WWE seems like they're just, giving up at this point, almost. I don't know how else to put it. It seems like they're giving up.
That's the best way to put it at this point. I mean, we understand that we're in specific times currently, and unfortunately, with everything going on in the world, wrestling is just not the same as it used to be.
No, but
we are about a month away from fans coming back to most shows.
Yeah, for WWE, they're going to start touring at the end of June or end of July.
ROH is July 12th or 15th, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about AEW.
AEW is back now.
Yeah.
The last
I think this past week.
Yeah. The pay-per-view was full. It was completely full, but it was like everyone had to provide proof of vaccination to get into the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then
you just feel like the guy from Wayne's World through the backstage. They're like,
yeah, I got that thing. And then I know when I watched Elevation and Dark, because I watched those two because I don't have cable, so I just watch Elevation and Dark because they're both on YouTube. They both had probably like 30% capacity in Daly's Place, which is, obviously way more than they've had before.
Right.
Also, I know, like, again, there's more to talk about, but we can let's start on a happier note. So not only did AEW sign Big Show to be the announcer for Elevation, now they've signed Mark Henry to be the color play announcer for Rampage when that starts next year.
Yeah, on TBS.
Yeah. So these big dudes like Wardlow and like Jack Hager, Hager's been doing it a while, but like Wardlow and a lot of those other guys that like haven't been doing it a long time, like how, like, you couldn't ask for two better guys to be teaching them how to be a big guy.
Well, I also believe that, like,
completely agree with that.
I believe that there's like some of those announcers too are kind of like at the point where they're just like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Big Show's is only a part-time announcer. Apparently there is plans for him to wrestle, but not for a long time. But it's in his contract that he can wrestle. I'm pretty sure Mark Henry's, I don't know, his too, though, because Henry got shredded. He dropped like 40 pounds and like packed on a bunch of muscle so he could wrestle again if he wanted to.
Yeah. Mike can attest to this. JR has been talking as an announcer for like ever, and I'm pretty sure he had a stroke or something, and he's just he's just not the same.
He hasn't been the same, and that stroke happened in, I want to say, either the late 90s or early 2000s. So
he hasn't been the same since.
No,
AEW needs to sign Tom Phillips to do one of the, because WWE released him too. He was good.
Right. I liked him.
He was good. He had a good presence.
Brought him on. They brought these guys. They kicked these other guys off so they can bring these announcers on that like make no sense to me whatsoever. Like you have Pat McAfee doing Friday announcing for SmackDown. I'm like, why?
Yeah, like
give him a little feud with Adam Cole, and all of a sudden he's a big time announcer for WWE.
It's literally just because his podcast and his TV show at the ESPN are so popular that I'm sure he brings it up every episode.
And
that they can catch him on Friday Night SmackDown, and so it's just to drum up ratings for SmackDown. But I don't see how
I'm going to kind of like kick to like I'm going to hold my tongue now for it, but I believe that that's part of what is happening in the background, and who I think might be picking up WWE. So I'll hold my tongue till then, because there is a lot of obvious things that are being shown. I should say that. What?
What? That was weird.
That's weird. I think he had a little allergy attack there.
Yeah,
Mark.
I'm really tired from that Chinese food, and like I don't want to go running later. Like there's a lot going on. Like my mind's all over the place. But yeah,
let's get started. We had
we'll jump into the new releases first if you're listening. So we're going to jump into the ones that literally just happened yesterday, which I did. So I'll share from my point of view, because I was at training for the promotion I just got, so I wasn't able to be on the dirt sheets like I normally would be, like checking them kind of periodically. So I take a break. I go to the bathroom. I just have text from Devin. Forgot about training. WWE released Aleister Black, and luckily, there's where I work now is like our fancier building, so like there's nobody there, so there's no one in the bathroom. And out loud, I went, "Son of a bitch!" I was like, "Okay, good, no one's here." And then I had to Google it really quick and got more pissed off. And I think for me, like honestly, I said it off the air, but I'll say it on the air now. Like I think that this recent cache of releases, especially with Black, I think that's my breaking point. Like I'll watch the pay-per-views, maybe I'll try to get back into NXT, but I think that's my breaking point, because at this point, what's the point? There's no point. They're gonna, even if they sell, right? The people who buy them are not going to be wrestling fans. They're going to be money oriented, which is what WWE is right now. They still make a ton of money. And that's the thing too that pisses me off about this. Stop lying and saying this has to do with budget cuts. You've made record profits the entire COVID era, every single quarter. So stop lying and say it's due to budget cuts, and just say that you have no plans for these people and you drop the ball and it's like the damage has been done. I mean, obviously you can put it in a better way, but don't lie and say that it's due to budget cuts, because no one buys that bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, so me and Mikey actually had a conversation about this earlier today, about how, because I was talking to him, I'm like, all right, we got AEW is out there now, available to pick these dudes up. It's a bigger promotion, and it's a lot of people brought up it's the Monday Night Wars, now, right?
Yeah.
And
impacts on the upswing.
And Michael loves the Monday Night Wars. That was his era. He loves it. We talk about it all the time. And I ask him all the time about does he feel that this is going back to that situation? So, Mike, how about you fill us in? Tell us what you think about with all these cuts and stuff like that. Do you feel that WWE is going back to that same era and going back to that situation that they were in back then?
I don't think they'll ever reach that point. The Monday Night Wars to me were, I don't know if I can even describe the feeling. Looking back now, I know on the network they have the documentary, the 20 episode Monday Night Wars documentary, and even watching it doesn't give you the full effect. I used to be like a big Raw fan, and when Nitro had the 3 hours, Raw was 2 hours, and I'd watch the first hour of Nitro. They always start the program with NWO, and then right as WWE was starting or Raw was starting, they would bring the NWO back out. This way people wouldn't switch. Me, I always switched over. The thing is with the Attitude Era versus now, the mid-carders and the lower card guys that were on Raw, for example, had more passion, and the fans were behind them way more than someone like Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. You don't see that anymore. You'd hear that Godfather's theme song hit, that little, I can't even describe it, that bow, 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 and then the crowd would go insane. You don't get that anymore. And I know we're COVID times and there's no crowds, but even before that, look at the Royal Rumble 2020. The only time the crowd really went crazy was when Edge made his return.
Mm-hmm.
Any other person that came out, it was, they would cheer, but it just didn't have that I don't know, like
That
that
oomph,
fire
like-
behind it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because they've stopped. WWE's also last couple of years like have stopped signing like these big these big free agent guys to debut
Right.
during the Rumble. AJ Styles, 5-6 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, Roman Reigns was like sitting there like, who is this guy? Like,
Right.
Yeah,
he
they
was
kept it
probably
totally.
the last one.
Yeah, it was like no one knew. They kept it completely hidden, and then like all of a sudden, because everyone was like, no, because at this point, everyone was like, if he hasn't gone now, he's not going to. Like, it's what could he do? And they pulled it off, and ever since, I think that's honestly the last one I remember, other than Edge, but that was kind of like leaked, and there was like a super high chance that Edge was gonna come back pretty soon. It wasn't like that much of a surprise. I mean, it's still cool, but like,
yeah, it was a great surprise. I mean, I marked out for it as well. I mean, I went crazy when I saw it. I didn't watch the event live, but I mean, I saw the highlights and I went crazy.
I think that's part of the problem is that it just doesn't feel like they do a lot of these things anymore. Like the last live show I went to for WWE was when Shane McMahon came back after 10 years. So like I remember like me and my friends losing our minds because it was like randomly too on Raw. It was like the Raw after Mania or something.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there and Joe Louis. We're like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. And like all of a sudden, like it was like Stephanie McMahon was like, I think it was like during the Authority stuff, and she was like doing a spiel, and all of a sudden Shane McMahon's music hit, and the entire arena like collectively lost their minds. Like I've never heard this arena like Joe Louis louder. And like it just doesn't seem like they do that stuff anymore. Like even when, like, okay, we'll bring it back to the current crop of releases. Like the most, we'll go over them. So like the one that pissed me off the most that I mentioned earlier was Aleister Black. And when's the last time they did like the re-debut of someone that wasn't like with a run-in? Like, you know what I mean? Like think of the last couple of guys that have come back from like injury or got signed or whatever. Like it's always run-ins. Like even in NXT when what's the guy that NXT just signed? The guy that used to be with the NWA.
LA.
Yeah.
LA Knight, yeah.
Yeah. Even when he like people knew they signed him, so everyone's like, "Oh man, how are they gonna do it? How are they gonna do it?" And it was like on a takeover, like the announcers are talking about the next match, and he just walks into the frame, cuts a promo, and leaves. Like that was the lamest debut like they could have done. Like that was so lazy.
I have to be honest. When I saw that, I didn't know that was his debut. I just figured he had been there for a while. That's how lame it was.
And he just like walked in front of the camera, cut a promo, and then went, "All right, see you guys." And then like he didn't actually wrestle for like 2 or 3 weeks after that or something. And it was what was the point?
I was talking to Mike about this earlier. How it seems like it's so weird to me because, like he's saying, you used to have people like Santino Marella or the Hurricane would come out and it still hit hard.
Yeah,
because it was just like because people knew what it was. You could hit that with R-Truth, and people would still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But these people, they're like getting rid of people that don't make sense. Like Velveteen Dream, totally makes sense. Get rid of him. He's a scumbag for what he's doing. Okay, totally makes sense. But then you got people who are like Ruby Riott, who's literally out there designed to help not only to boost whatever women's tag team you're dealing with, but
her look is so different than everybody else. Like she's all tatted up, she's got tie-dyed hair, like she is legit.
She helps out Liv Morgan. Like Liv Morgan without Ruby Riott is so weird now. It's like you can't.
Yeah, and no offense, but when the whole tag team was together, so they've already cut Sarah Logan. Like a long time ago. Like that was not even the one from a couple weeks ago. That was months and months and months ago, and they cut Sarah Logan. But like they break up the Riot Squad, they put them back together, and then I'm sorry, but Ruby Riott's the best worker out of all of them. But if you look at the two of them, let's just say if you watch wrestling or you listen to wrestling stuff, you can tell why Vince McMahon picked Liv Morgan over Ruby Riott. It's pretty clear. Like why he picked her to stay, even though I guarantee you she'll never be on TV except for random women's battle royals until she's cut 6 months from now. But
yeah, I mean,
she's got that look that Vince loves.
Iconics got broken up, obviously, and sent off. we know that
we
know that one is going to definitely jump into that. Peyton Royce or Casey Lee will obviously go to AEW because of her husband.
Her husband's at AEW.
But she even said recently that they're a duo. Like they're not going anywhere unless they're both signed together.
Yeah, which
I could see them doing that at AEW.
Well, AEW needs, like, their women's division is slowly getting better. Like they're slowly putting more attention to it, but they could 100% use the Iconics.
Oh.
Yeah, but people like they couldn't use that got cut was like
they just have to be
James
really.
And Chelsea Green, I could see them going to like either Impact or ROH because
I think Chelsea Green. The rumor is that she's going to go back to Impact because one, that's where she got famous, and two, her husband Matt Cardona is signed to Impact, so she'll probably go back to Impact. I will say AEW needs to be careful with the Iconics because since they don't have a tag division, I do feel like AEW is the promotion that if they ever were going to do like intergender, like where a women's tag team could compete for the men's belts, it's going to be AEW that like tries it.
That'd be cool. I'd appreciate. I would like to watch that.
Yeah, but like you'd have to do it smart, right? Like, because no offense, but no one's going to buy the Iconics beating the Young Bucks. Like you
have to see like a mixed tag team.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like if they sign both the Iconics, which they probably will, they have to be careful. Now, what they could do is what I actually liked. Remember, like way back in the day when WWE did the co-women's champions with Lay Cool, where if one of them got pinned, they both lost the title.
Yeah, I remember that.
So if AEW tried that, like if they signed both the Iconics and then one of them wins it, but they just cut, like they did exactly that. I mean, obviously not exactly, but like if they did a version of that, it makes sense to sign them. But like, unless you plan on pushing one of them to being a champion, then don't sign them because otherwise you're just signing two women who are going to do nothing. And then you're going to find yourself in a bad situation.
They're back to square one. They're back to what they were doing in WWE.
Yeah. Now, the only difference is they're probably slightly happier, but
potential wise, there was a lot of wrestlers that got cut that had good potential, and there's a lot that didn't. Obviously, like
Aleister Black, all the potential. How do you
always, Mark? I will never argue that with you. Yeah. I mean, the dude came out and he stated for the past 2 days he went live on Thea's Twitch, and that he talked about that he had a brand new theme song coming out that was going to be the best one yet, and that shot him in the foot, and that. Today, he talked about his whole gimmick he was going with after Buddy Murphy, who was also cut, had taken his eye. Now, the whole thing with his taking of his eye, his gimmick that he was going to work with was that he was actually a fallen angel from heaven that got amnesia, and this eye was actually him slowly getting back his memory and creating this new persona out of him. That was almost demonic and such. And it was like him just describing it in passion. It was just like, it's so cool. And him describing the music too, that he picked out was he said it was very metal and stuff like that. And he brought it to Vince, and Vince was like, "You call that fucking music?" Well, I'm a 76-year-old man, so what the hell do I know about music nowadays? He's like, "I guess we'll go with it."
He doesn't know anything about anything anymore.
Yeah, but what they're going to do is they're going to turn around. They're going to use it on somebody else. Like they're going to probably throw it on Seth Rollins.
And now we'll know we can hate that person, for taking his theme song. Which, okay, so we'll jump to Murphy. That's another one. How do you
mess that up?
Yeah, the guy saves himself from the cruiserweight, I don't know how cluster F that they did with the cruiserweight division. Rises himself from the ashes, aligns with Seth Rollins, gets himself to at least a mid-card level. And then you cut him too, right? I mean, you put him in a stupid storyline with the Mysterios. You have him date Aaliyah, who's 19. And then
he's 35.
He's 35 and has a wife that it's pretty common knowledge. And then you ditch the whole storyline. So that's already bad enough, but then you ditch the entire storyline, do nothing with him and cut him. And then there's some guy. Okay. And then we can jump right to it. So Braun Strowman, how do you fuck up a guy that size, that athletic, so many times. And that again, they're saying they cut him because of his contract was getting too high or whatever. But
funniest thing to me was that I was watching, I think it was Wrestling Inc. today, and they were laughing about how they basically made him look really stupid right before they cut him. Like he was stumbling over himself. Yeah. He was getting slimed. He was getting
he like struggled to beat Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. Like barely beat Shane. Like they did the same thing with the Revival. Yeah, and Moxley too. But like they put him in these stupid gimmicks, and then either take him off TV till their contract's up, or they cut him, and they're trying to like destroy what value they have. But it's like things don't work that way. No one looked at Jon Moxley and was like, "Yeah, you were in a stupid gas mask gimmick before WWE cut you. We don't want you. You don't have any talent." No one's gonna look at Braun Strowman and be like, "No, I don't see it anymore. I did, but not anymore."
He lost all that weight and looks shredded as shit and doesn't like.
And he's only like 6'10" and like jacked to all shit. And he's the one I will say AEW needs to stay away from. They already have too many big guys that they're starting to kind of ruin. Like they've ruined Lance Archer. Like that guy is so freaking good.
I mean, and especially when you have Jake Roberts in your corner, how do you mess that up?
Like he should have been the inaugural TNT. I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan, but Lance Archer should have been the first ever TNT champion and have Cody Rhodes beat him if that's the plan, or whatever. But he should have been the first champion. Like I'm glad Miro's getting his push, but like now to the sake of Lance Archer, and your other two big guys, Wardlow and Jake Hager, are stuck in factions that are just feuding with each other, right? They're never going for gold or anything. So
now I get like why they cut people like Mojo Rawley and Bo Dallas. Dallas, they could have.
Yeah, Mojo Rawley makes sense because he had been in WWE for like 7-8 years and had not improved like at all. The only time Mojo Rawley was like at any time entertaining was when he was in the Hype Bros with Matt Cardona. That was a fun tag team. Like that actually worked.
Yeah, but you could have used Bo Dallas. Like so many people said it. Give him and his brother like a tag team together.
Make a new Wyatt family.
Yeah,
you could have used him as like the Fiend, and then have him have his own persona that he turns into. Yeah. That maybe is the exact opposite of the Fiend, but it's still kind of creepy looking. Like
you're right.
I mean,
you could have easily done something as simple as like when the Fiend re-debuts, right, and is doing all this thing, Bo Dallas comes out and tries to like knock some sense into his brother. Like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, you gotta stop this. Like, this isn't you. Like, this isn't how we were raised. Like, what are you doing, man? And then like the Fiend slowly corrupts him. And
they feud.
Boom. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
They feud?
That's what I'm saying. They feud. Bo Dallas loses and gets corrupted by the Fiend. Boom, tag team. Like, I mean, like, I'm sorry. Like, I know Stardust was a stupid gimmick, but initially it worked because it was brother feud. Cody lost the feud, got all messed up in the head, became Stardust. Boom, successful tag team with him and Goldust. It overdue its course, and they messed up a bunch of other stuff, but that's besides the point. I mean, I guess that's another good example, though. Like, Cody Rhodes had said, he was so desperate to get out of Stardust, he pitched them like he pitched going back to kind of like his broken mirror gimmick in a way, where he said, on Raw, I'll be Cody Rhodes, and on SmackDown, I'll be Stardust, and we can play with like this split personality. Because the crowd was chanting like Cody, Cody, Cody when he was Stardust, and he would act like it was messing with him, and he was reverting back to Cody, and like he was like, and then we'll do some sort of like match where I face off against myself and become Cody again. And they said no, and then he quit and he formed AEW. So I mean, like,
it worked out perfectly.
So
that would have been great to see. That would have made some great entertainment.
Now, Mike, you being like the person who's watched wrestling longer than me and Mark both, like, I mean, and we've had our conversations about AEW and all that stuff, so not getting into that kind of stuff, but What could you see as like things that they need to do to improve as for WWE to continue growing their group and raising their numbers?
You know, with what Triple H has done with NXT and turn NXT into what it is, they need to give Triple H Raw and SmackDown. Try 6 months. Let him just take control. See what he can do with it. And I guarantee that all those haters, I'm one of them, I can tell you guys aren't biggest fans either, I guarantee we come back. Because what I have not watched, and I take that back. About a couple months ago, I actually watched one episode of NXT when it was still on Wednesday nights. Prior to that, I can't tell you the last time I actually sat and watched a whole program. That wasn't a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I think if Triple H, he's got the mind for it. Give it to him. Let him try. Let him do all of it. I mean, Shawn Michaels helps with NXT, so back away. Let Shawn Michaels take care of that for a while. Put him on Raw and SmackDown, and just let him take control. They didn't like when Paul Heyman did it, but when Heyman did it, the numbers for SmackDown were going up because Heyman is a genius.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Heyman
100%.
was building to where Raw would have gotten better. He was building Aleister Black, Andrade, Buddy Murphy, the Iconics. Like, he was building all these people up to. He even told him, he said it on podcasts. Like, he even told Vince that he's like, this is going to be a slow burn.
Yeah,
we're not going to see immediate ratings jump. We have to build all of these guys up, but the ratings will come around. But it's going to be a slow burn. And after 6 weeks, Vince is like, it's too slow for me. And
it's the same thing they did with Bischoff. Basically, they had Bischoff riding for a long time. Then all of a sudden, they're like, we gotta get rid of him. He sucks. Yeah. It's like, bro, you guys don't understand. And there's story-based driven stuff. Like, the rudest thing my wife has ever said to me is wrestling is a men's version of a soap opera. Yes, that is somewhat true, but it's also like an athletic soap opera. So we have to have the stories there. And by the week right now, Raw is literally putting out the same episode every week with the same wrestlers doing the same exact thing every week. And it's awful.
It's terrible. Why would I waste my time watching it? If I watch this week, why am I going to watch next week? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Why am I going to watch this week and watch Kofi face off Drew McIntyre?
Yeah. And there's others, and like, again, and we'll get on. Okay, so like I mentioned him earlier, but like, so one of the guys that was cut a while ago was Andrade, which is another guy. Like, how do you screw that up? How amazing that guy is in the ring, and engaged to Charlotte Flair. Like that, I felt like that alone was like a default. We're gonna have you stick around. Because they wouldn't want to piss off Charlotte, because apparently they think their women's division can't survive unless she's in the main event.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't want Becky to come back. I'd rather see her in a different program. I'd rather see her come into a different program. I'd rather see Ronda Rousey go to a different program, because they would perform a lot better. Right now, the women's division, Asuka, like you have the biggest anger out of all of us when it comes to Asuka.
Yeah,
and Asuka is
because she's the phenomenal. Greatest. She's the best talent athletically on that entire roster,
and that includes guys.
Yeah, and they have ruined her so many times, and it's ridiculous.
I'll take it back. I'll take that back, because they have Shinsuke on that roster too, and Shinsuke is phenomenal.
He's not getting the push he deserves.
No,
he should be a world champion.
But I love how they're messing with him right now as he's taking on Baron Corbin as King Corbin.
Yeah, but
I kind of enjoy.
The problem was they turned Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, who are both on SmackDown, face at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. Who do you push? Apparently, according to them, neither, because both pushes have essentially stopped.
No, what you do is you put Seth Rollins in an ugly ass suit that you get at Hollywood, at like one of those Halloween stores. Like, the dude literally wears one of those suits. Every suit that he's worn so far looks like the ones you go into Spirit Halloween, go to the suit rack, and just start pulling them off. It's like you're going to see this dude rocking a full pumpkin suit at Hell in the Cell. promise you that.
Yeah, and so we'll go back to some of the releases because I know that's what we want to make sure we cover. One of the ones that I do understand for multiple reasons is Lana.
Well, yeah, that's
she was getting better, yes, in the ring, and she was kind of popular, but like she really couldn't wrestle that well. Like she was super beyond green. It had been like 5 or 6 years. You know, like she was way better as a manager. You know, obviously the stuff with Miro, you know, happened is whatever. But I that one I do get because no offense,
cut a long time ago.
Because I'm sorry, but I don't care how good she got. I would have never bought her as a champion.
No,
like at all.
I mean, even as a tag team champion.
No, not even as a tag team champion. Yeah, and so that one I understand. You know, I was like, okay, I get that one. Satana Garrett, I saw her a little bit in NXT, like in some of the stuff, and like I know who she is. She was the NXT talent that was cut. She has a lot of talent. Like she's been around in the industry for like
but
20 years or so. But
she's not pushing NXT the way that like others are.
No, so that one I get too. And NXT cut a bunch of nobodies that had never made it on TV like a couple weeks ago. So like I get all those. Like those all make sense.
But I will tell you this: I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. They bring on I'm gonna butcher this name, Adnan Virk, to commentate, and they have him and Tom Phillips.
The ESPN guy.
Yep, they both dropped them, and they are bringing in these people like Pat McAfee and other people. And it's just like
the Virks guy requested it.
It was mutual.
Yeah, he said. He came out after, and he said after he did it for about a month, he realized between doing that and flying and doing ESPN that he was just so miserable traveling so much that he just couldn't do it anymore. Tom Phillips was like out of nowhere.
Yeah, but Tom Phillips will get picked up easy. Like there's
he's great. I mean, look at who the announcer is for AEW. Justin Roberts. Where did he used to announce? WWE, who cut him for no reason.
Yeah. So with all these cuts, and then I want to say the cuts that are happening in the main office, there was a lot of presidents, vice presidents, all sorts of stuff. Usually when somebody's doing that, we're going to say the word sale. And we are firm believers that Vince McMahon is getting ready to sell the company.
Yeah.
Now, I did talk to Mike about, you know, a small percentage will still be owned by the McMahons.
Yeah.
But it will be a very small percentage, and it will be like
a minority. It'll be like a minority.
Triple H will be
involved. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. I know we said earlier that Disney might have.
No, I'm a firm believer in Disney. Disney. We can say it loud now, loud and proud. Disney's buying WWE. I'm a firm believer in that.
But Disney doesn't own. Does Disney own NBC? NBC?
No, but I don't. Fox.
Right. But what I'm saying is that the reason why I'm saying I don't know if they're going to sell, I don't know if it would be them. It makes perfect sense, right? But here's the thing that's weird now is so they've got the pay-per-view deal with ESPN Plus and everybody else, but they just signed a deal with Peacock for everything else. And there's no way in hell that NBC, after just paying like, you know, $1.8 billion or whatever it was, is going to then agree to sell that to Disney, like after they just got it.
Yeah.
So WWE's gonna. It has to go. When they sell, it has to be a one shop. It's going to be whoever we sell it to is going to be able to distribute everything we have.
Then it will be Comcast.
That's what I'm saying. Which is owned by Comcast. Is owned by Warner Brothers, right?
Or no, Comcast is its own thing. But that's like Comcast is.
Who owns NBC?
Comcast.
Okay, well then, yeah, Comcast. I would buy Comcast buying them because of the fact that the deal with Peacock is for like a multi-year deal. The deal with ESPN to air the pay-per-views is just like it's like a short-term thing. It's not like a multi-term deal or whatever.
But the only
Comcast, obviously being Comcast, has deals with both USA and Fox, which is what their products air on.
Well, that's not. Fox is owned by Disney. So
yeah, but I'm saying, but Comcast has enough connections with the cable industry that obviously they could, they can pull their weight. Like obviously Disney's way bigger than Comcast, but like if they sold to Comcast, Comcast has enough where they can throw their weight around a little bit.
But just picture this for a minute. If Disney buys them, they could still run the Peacock deal for a little bit because, hello, it's the mouse and you don't fuck with the mouse. But I know it's funny, right? I just see Mikey cracking up. But the thing is, they could have wrestling airing on Fox. They have the Hulu aspect because Disney owns Hulu. They also have all the other things that Disney owns, such as ESPN, and ESPN won't be on directly on ESPN, but wrestling could kick off on ESPN2 every Monday night. Like it could be a thing. You never know. Or it could be on Channel 7 on one night and Fox on another because those are both owned by Disney. So
yeah, I mean, there's not many companies that can pull out the leverage to buy WWE because I mean, why? You guys talk. I'm gonna look up what they're currently valued at.
Yeah, but personally, the sale's going to happen. I'm a firm believer in it.
Well, with all these cuts, yeah. But I want to go back to this. But I did read the other day that WWE was trying to work a deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know if you guys read that.
I did. Okay, so I looked it up really quickly. As of right now, if they sold everything, they'd be worth just shy of $5 billion. Is what the net worth of WWE is. So I saw that thing about New Japan. Here's why I think it didn't work. Because at the last pay-per-view, their ace of clubs debut in the Casino Battle Royal was Lio Rush, who is a contracted and signed New Japan Pro Wrestling star.
Oh.
WWE, we've already seen, is notorious for if that deal had been locked, they would have told them, no, you have to pull him and figure out somebody else. But the fact that he wrestled
on
the program is a pretty clear indication that meeting did take place and it did not go well. Because I guarantee you part of what WWE said was, yeah, we'll work with you. We'll highlight your talents. We'll give you a bunch of money, but you can't work with AEW or Impact anymore. Which, I mean, they don't work with Impact, but you can't work with AEW at all. And they were probably like, no, if we work with you, we work with both of you separately, but we work with both of you. And I guarantee you, Vince was like, no, it's my way or the highway. And New Japan was like, okay, bye. We make more than enough. We really don't need you.
And they don't.
They don't.
Can you imagine if it didn't go down like that and this deal worked out and New Japan was working with both AEW and WWE? Can you imagine the possibilities? Those dream matches that people want to see.
Imagine
could happen in New Japan.
Yeah, imagine Kota Ibushi versus Cesaro.
Oh,
man. That would.
Well, it's not just that. You just imagine all the people who were on New Japan that are now on WWE or AEW that were they would go back and you'd have those old matches like AJ Styles doing his matches with some of these people that are in New Japan. That'd be phenomenal. But the thing is I told Mike this the other day. I personally like watching the storylines in the wrestling that comes out of Ring of Honor, out of the Southern, what's it called? Southern Honor Wrestling.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Some of this indie stuff. The indies are putting out a better product than the WWE and AEW is right now. I'm not going to bash on AEW all day because AEW does put out a good product. Yes, sometimes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they have their.
I cannot watch Y2J try to hit a moonsault off the bottom rope and almost break his neck multiple times because the boy is too heavy to be doing a moonsault off the bottom rope.
Too heavy and too old.
Yeah, I mean, again, AEW has made their mistakes. They got some of that WWE logic in them a little bit, and it shows. But they've also got a heavy New Japan influence because, all the guys that are EVPs all were in New Japan for a long time, so they're influenced by that's why there's so many factions in AEW, is because Kenny Omega and the Bucks were, in the Bullet Club, and New Japan Pro Wrestling is based around factions, because there's like the triple tag team belts. There's like the 6-man no hold. I don't know. There's like 4 different tag team belts. Like, it's insane. But they built the company around that, so it works. And so AEW is trying to do the same thing by putting an emphasis on tag wrestling.
But at the same time, too, you have you have too many influences in that company that's causing issues now, and that's why our buddy Sonny couldn't even get promoted on AEW, was because there's problems with Cody and Omega and the Young Bucks and stuff all running their own game plans and stuff. And that's the thing. There's too many hands in the pot in WWE. As much as Vince signs off on everything, that's the only thing that works out for them, is that Vince signs off on everything. So if it's complete shit, Vince is going to look at you and go, see this paperwork? Give me a new fucking rating.
Yeah, but when it's like Young Bucks in charge of tag team, Kenny Omega in charge of the women's division, Cody's in charge of the men's division, it's too all over the board. Like, but part of that problem, there's pros and cons to both. The pro is that you have more people that can recognize more talent and can advocate for other talent. Whereas in WWE, if Vince just says, I don't like this guy, that's it. You're screwed. There's no one that has enough pull that can save your job. Whereas, let's say Kenny Omega, tells Cody he hates, Joey Janela, right, and Sonny Kiss, because they're teasing to break them up, but he hates both of them, right? He's like, I don't see it. We need to cut him. But the Bucks go, no, they're both good. Let's put him in a tag team and see if it works. Stuff like that can save guys' jobs.
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, it's one and done. Which is, because you look at what happened to Samoa Joe and Mickie James. I get Samoa Joe is, from what they've said, his neck is so messed up, he probably was never gonna be able to wrestle again or whatever. But the dude was crushing it on commentary.
I agree.
People liked hearing his. They ruined him before he was injured, because he should have already been a champion numerous times, but that's a different argument. And then Mickie James, it's the same thing. I get you don't see her as the face of your division anymore, but how do you not utilize Mickie James to elevate other talent?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look at, she put herself over on Trish Stratus. How many people can say that they were able to pull something like that off? Or could pull something like that.
Sweet Poison did, but that's besides the point. But the thing is about it that bothers me so much, Mark, is that you have a guy like Aleister Black, phenomenal wrestler, deserved nothing but
with one of the best looking finishers they have in that company.
And you got a guy who comes at him as a Hall of Famer and says, he was good in the ring with his Kung Fu or his Muay Thai or mixed martial arts stuff, but he didn't really impress much. He didn't really stand out too much like that. And Booker T was the guy who said that. And to me, what makes me laugh is how do you got a guy like this who states this kind of information, but then you have a guy like Undertaker who gives him nothing but praise because of the work that he does?
Yeah, and no offense, but Booker T now is on such a short leash after being in TNA that dude's such a mark for whatever they want him to do, because he doesn't want to be let go again. It's the same thing with all those older guys that went to TNA at some point and then came back. They're all just huge marks for whatever WWE wants.
Thanks, Russo.
Thanks, Russo. He's the one that brought down. He's the one that brought down WCW. I'm just gonna say it. He's
from the inside.
Yeah, it's like CM Punk came out and said, released a statement saying, "How do you mess up Braun Strowman and Aleister Black?"
Yeah,
He was like, how do you screw that up? You were literally handed your next Undertaker.
The best.
And you did nothing.
He said the best quote ever. You're basically putting out a shit movie, and the only reason people won't stop watching it is because they like movies. Like,
yeah,
you go to the movies because it doesn't matter what it is, you're still gonna watch it. But at the same time, it's complete garbage you got putting out.
Yeah, so it's the same. Because I mean, let's be honest. The guys cut recently and the ones that are cut now were such good talents. Like, how many guys are really left that you see as like, unstoppable talents that you don't see them screwing up or that they haven't already diluted? Like Nakamura, like you could bring him back because people care about him, but they've already shown that they're not willing to put anything behind him. Like they finally give Cesaro a push, and then like he loses to Roman Reigns, which made sense because Reigns is crushing it, but then Cesaro just goes right back down to Seth Rollins. Like what? Like
doesn't make any sense.
Have him feud with Apollo Crews and beat Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. Like you know what I mean? Like, and then like they push Big E, and like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna raise Big E, and he'll be there's a decent chance that he's the one that dethrones Roman Reigns, and then you have Big E drop the title to Apollo Crews. And now,
where's he at now?
Because now you've screwed up the thing with Aleister Black. How do you put him back on TV? You have to, now Big E, I guarantee you, will be off TV for I'd say minimum 2-3 months because they have to pretend that when he comes back, he was not part of a feud with Aleister Black, and all the footage that you would have of him recently would have Aleister Black in it. So
I don't know. WWE. All we can say is you're really messing it up, bud. Screwing it up.
Drop the ball there, bud.
You're owning Jabroni Avenue, and congratulations.
You're acting like D-Gens from up north.
Exactly. All right. We're safe to say that we're gonna have to wrap it now because there's just. If we keep going on too much, we're just going to make ourselves into a worse depression. So
it'll be 2 hours of just screaming and then, oh, right. Yeah, we should move on.
Oh, we're still recording. So Mark, before you get into your last little bit, I do want to throw out a quick promo to our new sponsor. And it's perfect for tonight. It's toilet paper. Have you ever dealt with complete shit and you need to clean it up? Or maybe it's just that shit's stuck to your shoe, and so is the toilet paper. Well, go to the store, pick up a pack of toilet paper. Don't hog it all to yourself like everybody did at the beginning of quarantine, and clean up that WWE mess with a big box of toilet paper. Back to you, Mark.
Jobber.
What a jabron.
Oh my goodness.
What a jabron. I'm sorry, but not even the hefty of Bounty could pick up the mess that WWE has left us with.
I don't think they'll ever recover.
Like I said, I'll end it the same way I started it. That unless something drastically changes over the next few months, I am done watching Raw and SmackDown and NXT. I'm just going to pay attention to pay-per-views. But I'll watch AEW because they're not messing it up nearly as bad, and at least it's entertaining. And that'll do us for this week's edition of the FanFed podcast. So thanks to your everyone for your continued support. The past 2 months here were the best 2 months we've ever had. So hopefully we'll be able to continue that growth and at least see something. So make sure if you listen to this and you like Smith, go back and listen to our other wrestling episodes. There's quite a few, from discussions or interviews with Jay Lethal or Sonny Ono, to just a lot of people we've had the chance to talk to. So go back and play some past stuff. Obviously, shout out to our Patreon supporters. So if you do want to support us in any way, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can go to either buymeacoffee.com/fandom podcast, and you can kind of do some stuff through there, or you can go to patreon.com/fandom effect podcast, and we got different tiers, and you can get cool rewards. You can play games with me and Devin. We'll bring you on as a guest. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff. So go ahead and try to support it. Pretty simple. Facebook and Twitter, you guys know how it is. Both at Phantom Effect. When we reach 500 followers on Facebook, we will start a Facebook group. So you guys can kind of like meet other people who are either into the same things you are, or perhaps you can find something new to be passionate about. So keep following us so we can go ahead and hit that goal. If you do want to support us in other ways, I mean, I do have a twitch.tv/Bushido Geek. I'll play some games and some others various stuff. But then pretty much just every major podcasting platform, Apple, Spotify, Alexa for some crazy reason, Pandora, which has exploded out of nowhere. Just a lot of different ways. New episodes every Friday morning, bright and early. Bonus episodes every other Tuesday. And since this is the first episode of the month, I'll give you guys a little preview. This month, we're going to try to do some pretty cool guest episodes focusing on just kind of some nerdier stuff. We're going to obviously run some of our interviews, and we got some pretty cool ideas for some special interviews. You can also catch us on the Scene Snobs Network every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And if you're in a different time zone, figure it out yourself. I'm not a clock. But you can catch us a lot there as well. Thanks to both Sweet Poison, and that's about it because, I don't know why I would thank Devin for anything.
I like you too.
This is first podcast in 2 months.
Well, thank you guys for having me on here. It was a
Oh,
pleasure.
yeah. For sure, man. WWE, you suck. And hopefully you can get your shit together. And we'll see you guys next week.
Run credits. Hey, everybody. I just want to let you know, thank you again for watching. If you're just coming in now, go ahead and check us out on all major platforms at The Phantom Effect, where we have multiple episodes on not only wrestling, but all sorts of different different things, such as anime. Now, I know if you are watching at the Scene Snobs Network or you are watching it at a different platform, please head over to the Scene Snobs Network Facebook page because we have Carpool Shenanigans starting up right about now in about 9 minutes. So thanks for watching again. Have a great day.